Tav Samach Zayin Amud Beis, right at the top. Continue on with the different lechishas, which are darchei mori, which are also, do not have any real therapeutic value, and they're considered darchei mori, and which are also. Zok the Gemara. If a person says that my mazel should show me good mazel, v'sonically ashke boishki, and it shouldn't be tired, not by day and not by night. Yeshua mishum darchei mori, that is considered darchei mori. Rabbi Yehuda Gad eno loshen avodah zarah. Rabbi Yehuda says it's even worse. It's not only darchei mori, it's even a form of being avodah zarah, because God shenemar, it says ha'orchim lagad shulchan. It talks about, the Navi talks about those who set a table for God, the avodah zarah God. So he says this expression is really asking, he's really being spelled to the avodah zarah. So it's even worse than darchei mori. It's even a form of avodah zarah. Another list of things which are darchei mori. Hu b'shma v'hi b'shmoim. If he interchanges a name, he calls at night. He calls his wife. He calls his wife with his name, and the wife, and he calls her with his name. He calls himself with her name, and her with his name. Yesh mishum darchei mori. Doinu dani, he said, barrels of wine should be strong. Yesh mishum darchei mori. That's also darchei mori, because there's nothing naturally in the natural world, in the derech hateva, that just because he says that should help. That's considered darchei mori. Rabbi Yehuda Meir ain't done a lashon avodah zarah. Again, Rabbi Yehuda says it's even worse. It's also a form of avodah zarah, because dan is also avodah zarah. Shenemar hanishboim ba'ashma shayman v'amro che alecha dan. Those who make a shua with on the chatoim of Shimron, and they say chai alecha dan, the avodah zarah of dan. If he says to a raven, he says that strach, that it should croak. Or he says to a female one, he says that it should scream and turn your tail to me. That it should be a mazel type, that turn your head. If one says that shech is tarnagol, that makes a sound that croaks like a raven, v'tarnagolas shekora gavris, or a tarnagolas that crows like a rooster. Yesh mishum darchei mori. If a person says, I'll drink and leave over, so the idea is, it says drink and leave over, that his nachosim, or this wine, should have a bracha, and that there always will be left over. They won't be all consumed. A little bit will satisfy, and there will always be left over, and it won't be all consumed. Yesh mishum darchei mori. Again, b'derech hateva, there's nothing that should help him and give a bracha with this way. That's considered darchei mori. If one breaks eggshells and wall in front of chicks, yesh mishum darchei mori. So he's doing that is some sort of segula that it won't die. That's darchei mori. If one stirs the chicks, and also with the hope that they won't die, yesh mishum darchei mori. If someone dances in front of them, and he counts 71 that they shouldn't die, yesh mishum darchei mori. That's also darchei mori. If a woman dances in front of kutak, kutak was a mixture they had with breadcrumbs and sour milk. If she does that, or mishleteges ladoshim, or there's lentils that are cooking, and she tells the people to be quiet, or she shouts in front of a pot of beans, yesh mishum darchei mori. If a woman, she relieves herself, she urinates in front of a pot in order that the pot will cook quickly, yesh mishum darchei mori. But one could put a splinter from a strawberry or mulberry bush and take a splinter of that wood, or broken pieces of glass and put it in the pot, so that it should cook quickly. There is something b'derech hateva that is proven, that's shown that this works, so that's not called darchei mori. But the Chacham say it's not darchei mori, but a broken pieces of glass is a sakana. Person might come to eat it, so therefore it is a sakana. So one has to be very careful. Therefore, we see certain things that are superstitions and the superstitious incantations. Those are darchei mori. There's certain things which are segulas, which are not. But one has to be very careful over the course of the passage of time. Who knows what kind of practices were adopted and taken from the Goyish surroundings and were assumed to be segulas and a darchei mori. So one has to be very careful that the segulas are really authentic, and one does not chas v'sholom bring in superstition into one's practice, into daily practice. So we see over here that the list over here that the Gemara brings, all of these things were darchei mori. Now the Gemara brought a few which are not, and the Gemara will continue with other things which are not darchei mori, that are shown to have some b'derech hateva, that they have an effect. Ton Rabbana, nice and bullshil melach. One can put a handful of salt in there, and that will cause it to burn brightly. That will cause it to burn more brightly than without it. So that's not called darchei mori. That's not through kishuf. That's not superstition. That is something that b'derech hateva, the salt has that effect on the light. And also one could put mud or clay at the bottom of a lamp, so a ner that it causes to burn more slowly, that the fuel does not get consumed so quickly. That is also b'derech hateva, has proven to work, and it's not considered darchei mori. Amar Rav Zutra, Haiman de Michsi Shraga de Mishcha, one who covers a burning ner and of oil that's burning in a ner, and he covers it. Umegale nifta, or uncovers a ner of neft, and doing both of these things causes it to burn more quickly and causes it to consume the fuel needlessly. So this is baltashkis. If he covers it, the covering of the ner, the oil lamp, so that causes it, the heat is intensified and causes it to consume more quickly, or uncovering neft, and he's at baltashkis. If a person says the following bracha, he gives the following bracha. He says, Chamra v'chayil pum rabbanan. He says, wine and life to the mouths of the rabbanim. Ein mishum darchei mori. That's not also mishum darchei mori. That is a bracha, meaning it's considered like a person is giving a tefillah, he's mispalel for the long life of the rabbanan, for a bracha for rabbanan. A person is saying bracha. When a person gives a bracha to another person, he doesn't mean to it in a way. It's not that it's superstition. It's not a lachash. It's a bracha. It's a tefillah. So that's mutter. Mar says, "Ma'aser Rabbi Kiva also mishtal b'nai." Rabbi Kiva, he made a mishta for his son. Val kol kais v'kais shevi. Every cup of wine that he brought, he said, "Cham v'chai l'pum rabbona, chaya v'chamra l'pum rabbona, rabbona l'pum talmideyan." So he said, for each cup, he said, Chamra v'chai l'pum rabbanon, there should be wine and life for the rabbanon, the Talmidei Chachamim, chaya v'chamra l'pum rabbanon l'pum talmideyim, and for their talmidim. So you see that this is mutter. Rabbi Kiva did it. It's a form of a bracha, and therefore it's mutter, and it's mutter to do this. Hadron lach b'mei isha, hadron lach b'mei isha, hadron lach b'mei isha. Klal gadol amru b'Shabbos. So there is a klal, a fundamental klal that's mentioned by Hilchos Shabbos, Bez Hashem, come to the Paraklal Gadol that has some of the fundamental principles of the Malachas of Shabbos.